Hey everybody, this is Founder Laerun. I am going to be back in a moment. We're just doing a little sound check. Let us know if we're too loud or too soft. Thank you.
Okay. How do I sound? One, two, three. One, two.
1 2 3 1 2 3.
Hello there, this is Founder Laerun, and I am here with Lady Shel and DMDavidKeith. He has been a long-standing member of Fantasy Grounds College. We're going to go through the module that I'm creating. It's called Of Birds and Bees, and it is basically being created in Fantasy Grounds Classic at the moment. We are going to get together and brainstorm and help people um, help us get to learn the process of brainstorming and creating modules and also get some community interaction. So without further ado, let's go ahead and say hi to Lady Shel. Hey, Lady Shel.
Hey, Layroon. Hey, stream. Welcome to our stream. Hey, that's kind of repetitive there. We hope you're having a good Friday, and we hope that you will join us with some input on helping us develop this module because we would like to run a playtest of it during our Founders Day weekend, which is in July from the 24th to the 26th. And we hope that you'll join us for that. Also, we have lots of games that people will be running that you can play in, or you can run a game yourself.
Hi, this is David Van Hoos. DM David Keith, and I'm joining Laerun and Lady Shel here today to help out with developing this community-based module.
All right, cool. So just a quick review. Last week we had a or last week we had a 2-hour stream, and it was pretty long because I was trying to explain the the basis of the story. We did go at the very end. We actually started working on some NPCs. So our focus is still in that area. We're going to be developing the townsfolk. We still have some things to wrap up on the missing people because that's who we chose to work with on last episode. So we have 3 main missing people, and we are trying to flesh them out, and we have some of the NPCs built around that. So hopefully we can get some more work done today and also have some fun. So I'm going to go back into a little recap. Lady Shel, do you remember any of the NPCs and what we did last week?
The NPCs that we had started on, we had a fisherman, we had the boy and his dog, and we had a third person that I don't.
That's fine. There is 3 missing people that are part of the main plot, but we did add a fisherman in there. And originally we were going to say that he was a missing person, but he's actually part of the investigation of finding the missing child. So one of the things that you have to do in the adventure, or one of the quests, is once you reach town, there's 3 missing groups of people. Um, some people you can just walk up to and interview. Others you have to find and figure out where they're at. It's not a big challenge, but it presents role-playing challenges and perhaps a couple minor skill checks. So that's one thing I wanted to emphasize in the beginning of the adventure is getting used to interacting with NPCs, potentially having a store where they can buy things, and having to solve problems without fighting. So using their brains, using teamwork. These things are not very difficult. They're just things to kind of get the party to think about, working together and having a group. So the other is to kind of explain the bond between the town and the people that are missing, because it's a kind of a close knit community. They have farms and orchards and a little bit of fishing, and they have this main river that cuts through. And they have it dammed up right now because they need it for their crops and their orchards. So once or twice a month, they'll flood the orchards, and then every day, pretty much, they're siphoning water off their dam to feed their farms. So this is kind of a farming mining community. It started around a bridge that spans over the river, and right now we're just going to detail the people that are in the town. So one of the things I was writing before the show that I wanted to propose is that each missing person, the way I was envisioning this is that there's going to be some evidence, some leads, and then potentially dialogue. So I kind of have a sample of a note that I wrote up the other day. And all this isn't the gospel here, but all this is a way to kind of put my thoughts together. Once I get approval and have you guys on board with this format, I will transfer this data to a story entry. Right now, this is just a note. So right now, we're just making a bunch of notes, and I'm going to have to double my effort. So I don't want to do that too much, but this gives me an idea of what the type of formatting I want to use. So this event is the missing child, lonely dog, is what I called it. So, Lady Shell, can you recant as to what you remember from the boy missing from the story?
Okay, so a boy and his dog went out, and he went out by on the lake. I think he went out that way, and I think he went too far or something, and he got captured by the wasps. They took
Yep.
him away, and then the dog, was all confused and seen him get taken away, and the dog went home, and the dog was all guilty, like it was his fault and everything. Being a dog, you can't really say, "Oh, the boy is that way," or anything. So, yeah. So they have a dog, and the dog is traumatized, and the boy is missing. So, about this event that you said, what you've got here, would this be like? Are they going to have like posters or something for
Yeah, that
for
can
the
be apparent in
people
the
that,
town.
yeah, and have like a picture of him?
Yeah, a sketch. It'll be a little foreshadowing when the people first come to the town. They'll see these missing person posters. One of them will just happen to be the kid, and then the others will be the
That sounds
orchard
good.
worker, and there's another person. Um, this can be handled a couple different ways. I don't know what you guys think. David and Shell, I'm going to give you three scenarios here of how they find this mission. This is the missing
Hey,
boy.
Lorraine, real quick,
Yes.
for the poster, should it be a description of like it's a charcoal poster, or was
Yes.
it,
Yes.
okay. So I just when we put a description of what, you know, how the poster would look, or
Yes.
something written on parchment.
That's a good idea. So I'll write that down. So we're focusing on the boy event, just one of the missing people. So I want to do the same type of format and detail for each one of the missing people. So I will put that in my notes here.
And I have an idea when you said about there being, you know, banners or posters or whatever jobs for the people to do. Remember, Shehab has that module that you can get from the DM's Guild that has different, like you can paste
Yes.
things up. It's a message board or
Yep.
something. So we probably could use something like that if she would give us permission to do that.
Yeah, I will put that in my notes. I'm sure she'll be very happy to do that.
With the credit, of course.
So we have a lot of talent in our community. So if you guys have that type of talent, or you can draw, or maybe you're a better story writer, whatever it may be, definitely like to hear from you. Okay, so this is what I have so far, and we can elaborate on this. So the evidence is for the missing child is, according to the parents of Georgie, and the local militia, the boy's tracks seem to just disappear in thin air. So they sent out a search party where he was last seen. So I'm going to actually pin this event to the map so I remember what this is. And that's just a note. So I just drag and drop this over and drop it onto this. This is whereabouts he was last seen. Now that's
Now I have
quite
a
a ways from
question.
home, actually.
So he lives in town, right?
Hmm.
Is his parents farmers? I can't remember. I think you said
Yeah,
they were, weren't
yeah, I'm pretty sure
Okay,
there.
my question is, do these people know that there's giant bees and ants and spiders in the forest? Has anybody seen them, or is this a totally foreign thing that nobody knows, like why his tracks would just suddenly stop like that?
Okay, I think to the parents it would be foreign. The people who do the logging, or who used to log, they would talk about things like that as rumors. So nobody in the town, unless you're a logger or someone who's traveled the forest, has seen any of that. Most of these people who live here know better not to go in the forest. They know it's dangerous and it's overwhelmed with all kinds of animals and such. So they don't normally go to the forest. The loggers go to the edge of the forest, and they have seen strange things, but they're kind of like old wise tales, sort of. But recently, that's kind of changed, so the stories are becoming more and more prevalent. So I
Not
wouldn't
to
say it's
mention that there's
foreign,
three
but
people missing.
yeah, I wouldn't say it's foreign, but it's definitely not daily talk. So I think the legends and the sightings are there, but I think you can kind of look at it as kind of like Bigfoot. Does he exist, or those sort of things. So those would be similar to how the tales would unfold. Some people would say, "Nah, I don't think that's true." Then other people would say, "Oh yeah, it is." So you probably have that at the worst. But being that this is a fantasy setting, I wouldn't think that's totally unheard of. I just think that normally the bees and the spiders and the ants stay in the forest, but something's been driving them outward to attack. So that's kind of what the whole missing persons thing is about. So they've become a lot more aggressive. And maybe there's some journals as to, some of the older townsfolk that had seen things when the town was being built. But I don't think that it's a common occurrence. But that's just my idea.
So can you whoa, sorry about that. Can you describe the three people, because I believe before we start our stream you said that the fisherman was not going to be one of the three people. Who are the three people besides the boy? Who are the other two?
Okay, so let's see, I had the NPCs here. And there's one more that we haven't developed.
Lumberjack. I remember now because I gave you the picture, remember?
Yeah,
The guy with the beard.
right. So we started with a commoner as our base. We have Griffin, the lumberjack. Yes. So he's a woodsman. He would be someone that would believe the stories of the bees. He's probably seen some strange, maybe not bees per se, but maybe he's seen one of the ants. But he's definitely an old lumberjack that has worked the edge of the forest. So when the lumberjacks go to cut wood, they stay on the edge of the forest. They don't go in. So he would probably have seen some of those old wives' tales creatures that are amongst the forest. And of course, we have Georgie. That's the young boy. Andre was going to be one of the captives, but I had remembered that he was the one who actually witnessed the boy being picked up and taken away. And then there's another person I haven't developed yet. It's a woman. She was an orchard worker. So she works on the edge of this. She was out in a tree picking apples and work. She had a bucket beneath her, and she had one other person with her. And when she was taken away, the other person was just horrified, and they ran back to the village, and or that person ran back and told their supervisor about it. And they went and talked to the militia. The militia came out. They didn't see any evidence. They did see that, her workstation was left because she usually puts her ladder away and, puts away her stuff. So they thought that maybe she quit and that she ran off or something, and who knows. So we need to work on that part once we get to figure it out. I have her name in the notes that I gave you guys. I use an app. It's called Mindly, and it does have some names there for the missing people. Those are subject to change. But I did have a name for her. Let's see if I can find that again. This is just preliminary. We can name her anything we want. Okay. There is a thing in here called the missing in the notes that I have. The notes of the other type of notes. Okay. So initially I had captives from previous attacks. So I had Stevson Barris. He went missing during the heart of the orchard harvest. So that's probably one of the guys who was missing. Captive 2 was supposed to be Shaldra O'Niden. She went missing in the late morning fetching water from the dam and walking her dog. So we changed that with the little boy. So she's the one who supposedly got attacked by the bees as well. Then captive 3 was Rennie Ortson, was a young boy, which is who we are now calling Georgie. He was playing outside along the road. He went missing. He ran from some large ants in a panic and was ultimately picked up and rushed away from the bee folk, never to return. So we've changed that because that's kind of crazy, but that was the initial idea that I had. In all three incidents, the witnesses were either too late, incapable, or too scared to do anything before the local militia arrived. So that's where we're at, basically. We have the three missing. So we can make Shaldra O'Niden the one who's missing from the orchard instead.
We should probably, well, I don't know. Do you want to make an NPC for the person that was with her at the time that ran and told the
Yeah,
people, hey?
that makes sense because I have one for Georgie, and you have to interview this person. So we will make something. Maybe I can use one of the other names. Let's see.
Well, maybe. Oh, Andre is the fisherman, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What happened to the tokens? Did you ever get to make them, the
No,
ones
I
that I
never
gave you the
finished that
pictures?
part. No. Okay. So yeah, we'll have to make the witness of the orchard, so probably a coworker, and then we will have the missing orchard worker as well. So those are the two NPCs that are not developed yet for the missing persons.
David, do you want to name the coworker?
Well, okay, let me see if I can't come up with something. Give me a minute here.
Okay.
Sure.
So the guy that the person that's missing could be male or female, um, and then they have a coworker, and they work in teams, and they're working in this orchard up here, which is where they get a lot of their fruits and such that they trade. Um, there is also kind of, I wouldn't say a lumberjack society, but there's a guild, basically like a lumber's guild, where they cut and shape the wood that they get from the forest, and they also retrieve it and cut it down. Over the years, the lumber industry has kind of fizzled. It's still there, but it's more or less a hobby slash Home Depot like thing now. Whereas before, it was like a flourishing business. They had a guild hall that's still active. They have a large group of members still, but they don't work as much. And the orchard folks happen to be a part of the guild. This is the way they did it. So the orchard people go in and they keep the lumber business afloat. Every now and then, the lumberjacks will go in and thin the orchard out because they'll find dead trees, or they'll find a tree that has rot or something growing into it, or they'll find a tree infested with termites, or they'll get rid of it.
So you, Lorraine, you're ready for a name?
Yes.
How about Elspeth? It's ELSBETH.
I like it.
So Elspeth was the coworker that witnessed.
Right.
All right. So the way I have these events set up is the missing child, lonely dog. So the evidence was the parents of Georgie and the local militia. The boys' tracks disappeared in thin air. A lead would be the fisherman. So there is a fisherman, or there was a fisherman, Andre, that may have seen or witnessed this event. He spends most of his time out in his rowboat fishing, so that is problematic to get a hold of him easily. So that would
Does
be a challenge.
does Andre have a dock or any place like that where they ties up the boat in the
Yeah,
evening or
there's
anything?
a place in town. Let me see. I have it called, it's the Fishery Supply House, and that's right here in town. And you can launch a boat. There's a little dock there, and you can launch the boat and it goes into the lake. And that is where you would rent a boat potentially, or find a way to get his attention. The other way would be to go out on the dam and, try to flag him down, which would be hard for him to see you, but that's another way you can do it. So there's a couple ways that they can get to him.
Well, but what is it? What do they expect that? Oh, he's got to come in the evening,
Hmm.
or or does he not do that? I mean, it sounds like there might be another way that might meet him.
Correct. So that's up to the party and the DM to decide how that happens. But I gave the impression that it's kind of hard to get a hold of.
Okay. All righty.
So it's not like you can just walk up to him. You have to go figure out where he is and figure out his schedule, figure out when to get him, when he's launching his boat or when he's coming in for the evening. So
Right. Okay. It sounds good.
yeah.
So you know, well, would you do you need to have or so it's going to leave that up to the DM, or you're going to give some suggestions that he heads out at this time of day, comes back at this time of day, or anything like that, or is that too much detail?
I don't know. What do you think, Shell? I mean, I like it, but I don't
I
want
like
to.
tables. You know I love tables, so
That's
you have
true.
random results.
I never even think about that. That's a great idea. So let you
Tables that
determine when he can be found. So it just, you roll the table, and one would be that, the party investigates and finds him, fishing close to the dam, and they're able to get his attention somehow. Or the other roll result would be you find him pulling in his boat at the end of the evening. The sun's starting to go down. Crickets or frogs are starting to make noise. Or you could say the vice versa. You find him launching his boat early in the morning, and you're able to capture a small time with him. So that those could be three different ways that they find him.
Could there also be one where they don't find him in that same table? 'Cause you should have a negative result too. It can't all be positive.
Well,
Well, maybe it can be.
the dam one could be negative, I guess, because you're out. It's windy up there, and it's kind of cool, and it doesn't guarantee that you're going to get to talk to him. So the party has to improvise and think of a way to get his attention. So they might have to do a spell, or they might have to throw something at him, or
Thaumaturgy.
yeah, or do something.
Hey, look up here.
Exactly. So,
What about an option where he doesn't go back to the fishery? He just pulls ashore somewhere and has a small little layover place that he
oh
didn't use
yeah, yeah, there you go.
because that could be anywhere along the lake.
Yeah, it could potentially. I mean, the only place he couldn't do that is where the dam is.
Right. Yeah. But
So,
Right.
I would, you just somewhere. Oh, I decide I'm going to pull over and have lunch here, or I'm going to have dinner here, and just spend.
so he's hard to get a hold of. That's the thing we're trying to get to the point. So a table sounds wonderful.
And I thought one other thing, Lorraine, is what about to be able to roll on the table, they need to have some type of DC number to come up with because they got to
Oh
spend
yeah,
some time schedule, and maybe it takes two DC-15s to even get a chance to roll on the table.
yeah, at least
Why don't
one,
we
huh?
why don't we start a new one of these event missing whatever the who's missing again? Oh, he was never mind. He's the one part of the boy. But yeah, we can add that too, but I want us to make one now for the lady, but let's finish with Andre. Oh, so these are notes. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, these are just notes. These are not cut in stone. They're just, you know. So the event is that they get the evidence, they get the lead, and if they interview anybody, so the dog, this is back to the dog, and so if you talk to the family, his family, this is what they tell you. So they said Keeper came home late, all wet. He was whimpering. He seemed very distraught. He was acting very cowardly, and his head was lowered down as if he was acting guilty or ashamed. Our family has never seen Keeper act this way. So that's one of the statements they give the players if if you ask the family about his whereabouts. Keeper and Georgie were best friends. They grew up together. Keeper received his name from Georgie. Keeper was originally supposed to be put down, but we all nursed him back to health as a puppy, and we all decided to call him Keeper. Before Georgie could actually write his own name, he created his own spelling of Keeper's name, a backwards K followed by a P and an R. So that just stuck, and that became how we all spelled his name, Keeper. So that's just a little backstory on how much that family loves that dog. So there's no doubt in your mind that they had nothing to do with the disappearance and that they are just as confused as anybody else.
So basically, those two statements are what the party would find. This is like basically what the parents know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's the statements right there.
Right.
Okay.
And
So we should have one. What does Andre know?
correct. So this will be Andre's statement. So this comes down to the role play and the investigation part. But circling back to what you had said about the DC challenge rating, should it be like the party members are between levels 3 to 5, and the challenge rating that I initially thought of was a DC 12 for investigation.
Fine, that's fine.
So it's not a 10, which is, average. But 15 is pretty tough. So what
Is
would the
this the
investigation help with though?
is this the rating to be able to ask him the questions and roll on the table, or is this the
To
what
be,
you will be able to
I would
talk to him?
to be able to talk. I was thinking that they have to ask some townspeople to find out his
Hmm.
schedule or where is he normally located.
Hmm.
Those if they if and so you could basically go for DC 12, but then you can also add some modifiers in. If they talk to somebody, if they get a couple of pieces of
Ah,
information, they get a +2 to the diero.
I
So
see.
so you could even go up to 15 then, but make sure that the more pieces of information they have when they roll, the better they're going to be.
I got it. Okay. So before we do his statement, because we don't know what exactly that's going to be yet. So we're going to do the investigation, right? Well, we'll do perception. So if you use a perception check and you roll over, what, 10 or whatever,
Is
you
this
get
to
one.
find him?
Yeah, basically. Or to be able to intercept where he's going to be.
You said he's hard to find. I'm gonna say
Yeah, the challenge rating's
over
15.
12. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So investigation of 15 or challenge rating of 15.
I thought this was perception.
Regardless of what skill you use, it's going to be really, really hard to find him.
So how big is that lake or whatever
It's pretty
pond?
good size.
Stand on one edge and see to the other side, or is it so big you can't see from one side to the other
Um,
side?
on a clear day, you can see on the other side. You can see the horizon or whatever. You can see the other side. So it's got to be 6-7 miles across or something like that.
And I wanted to tell chat if you guys have some ideas, just uh, type them in the chat, and I will relay them to Laerun, and we can discuss.
All right. So how many points or how many bonus points will you get if you roll over a certain number with perception? Because perception is the lowest form of investigating. Does that give you +2 to your roll?
Maybe for every 2 over 15,
Yeah, maybe.
or maybe how about
Wow.
+1 for every 2 over 15?
Yeah. So perception, investigation.
Insight.
Yeah, insight would be another. So those are your main skills that you're going to be looking at. So depending on how the party handles this or which way it goes, I would really think that perception and insight would probably only give you maybe +1 for perception, maybe +2 for insight, and +3 on investigation, provided they make the rolls.
Okay.
So the overall challenge rating is 15, but if they want to improve that rating, if they do any one of those other um, skill checks, they'll get a bonus to their roll. So if they try to use perception, they'd only get a +1 to their roll. If they use investigation, they'd get a +3. And if they use insight, like body language, and when they're interviewing people, then it'd probably just be +2 or +1.
I'd go +1, and
Yep.
maybe only +2 for investigation.
Yeah.
Perception 1,
Yeah, I think
investigation
that's
2,
right.
and insight 1.
So those are the bonuses that you get depending on which skill you use to investigate the issue. Most people are going to use perception. So I think the challenge rating of 15 is perfect. Because I know most people take perception skill, or at least a majority.
On the table, how about putting fog or some type of or inclement weather or anything so you have a negatives to go along with the positives like what Lady Shell was talking about?
Okay, that sounds good. So rain, fog, those sort of things. Is that what you were saying, Lady Shel?
Yeah, right. Well, I'm thinking that, if they're out there looking at the lake and they think, oh, we want to try to see him out there, but and they row on the table, location table. They might not be able to just because of the fog or rain or
Okay.
inclement weather or.
Okay, I made a new group. So if you're going to make anything for your modules and such, you want to make a new group. So in every section that you make, except for these notes, you can make a new group. So here we're going to make a table, and I'll link it to this note for now so I don't lose it. So what do you want to call this, an investigation table? Or where do we meet Mr. Andre? We can have two tables. What do you guys think?
Sorry, I'm here. I was thinking. I was talking to myself for a second. Hey, so why don't we call? We have the. This is Andre's investigation.
Mm-hmm.
So, why don't we call it Andre's investigation? Try to make him. And if we do somebody else's, we can another table for somebody else. We just follow that same pattern. The
Okay.
NPC's name followed by investigation.
Okay.
I had to leave for a second. My contact got all messed up. Did you get the comment from John ECC
No.
who said, how about a bonus penalty depending on how they interact with locals? Also, thank you for following Sage Mystic. And we had a previous follower, Welverine. Thank you for following.
Thanks, guys. So investigation into Andre is what we'll call this table.
Lorraine, when it comes to sorting, or if they just find that table, wouldn't it be better if they could put Andre's name first and the other information second?
Probably.
That- Okay, because otherwise, if you use investigation, you're just going to have tons of tables called investigation.
True. Okay. So what are we going to put on this table? We had some ideas earlier. So what do you guys think? Anybody in the group or the crowd out in the stream?
But one of the things we had was we see him as he pulls in with his catch.
Okay. So Andre pulls in with his daily catch for a break and a meal. The other one was what? The dam?
Yeah, like they spotted him from the dam and tried to get his attention or something. I don't know. Was that going to be
Can you tell us
successful?
what the name of the dam is?
The damn dwarven dam, wasn't it? Something like
Yeah.
that.
Well, we called it the goddamn dam, but we
Well,
have to
that's right.
keep it more PG-13. So it's actually Kedwick's dam. Kedwick was the founder of the town. That's his last name. Okay, so Andre is spotted from the dam fishing. Okay, Andre is spotted from the dam. He
How
is,
about the,
he is fishing the deeper parts of the lake.
wow, that's a long description. How about another one where they find him having his lunch on the banks of the river
That's
or
what
the
we did.
banks of the
The
lake?
first
Oh,
one is
was that the
Andre
first one?
pulls in. Yeah. He
Oh,
pulls in with
I
his
thought
daily
that's when he
catch
comes in. Well,
for a
that's when he's
break and a
going
meal.
back. Oh, for breaking a meal. Okay. How about then when he pulls in with his fish for the day, the end of the day?
So what this is kind of doing is it's also determining the time of day. So if you think about it, Andre pulling in for a break and a meal, that could be breakfast or lunch, or something like that. But then the other ones are like out in the middle of the deeper parts of the lake. That's usually the evening or the morning. So normally they don't fish out in the middle of in the daytime. However, deeper lake fishing, you might be doing that. So Andre pulls in at the end of the day with his daily catch and a frown.
How about if they meet him one time at you said there was a place, wasn't there a building or something?
Yes,
If you
that's
would
the
think he's going to go in the building to like maybe drop off his catch, get paid, or
yeah, there's a
buy
boat shack.
supplies, whatever.
Yeah, that's where they catch him when he pulls in for the day. That's where he moors his boat, is at on the docks near that place.
Does anyone know where he lives? Maybe they catch him on his way home walking in town or something. Or maybe they catch him at the I was going to say grocery store, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Your
I would say if I'm gonna weigh
whatever the equal
I'm gonna
thing.
weigh the table so that that is actually the least likely to happen.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, we're still gonna add it. It's an option. So Andre pulls in at the end of the day, or we can say he pulls in at the beginning of the day.
Or he could be at the inn having some a meal,
Yeah,
maybe a breakfast or a dinner. Maybe it's his off day or something.
yeah, that would
And
be the last choice.
what about an option that says that you don't see Andre at all?
Eh, that would make the game very long and anticlimactic. So they need a way to find him, but we're just
Okay.
putting challenges in there. We're not gonna say no, not today.
John ECC says at the tavern, spending the money he earned from his catch.
Exactly. That'll be one of the options. Basically, you meet him in town, regardless of where he is. But
I like
that's
that.
least likely to happen, though. So Andre is
Is the,
leaving to go fishing.
is this guy never out of his boat? Is that why it's so unlikely?
Yeah, well, I said he's hard to get a hold of, so he's always fishing. And when he's not fishing, he's, like I said, he's at the tavern spending his coin, or he's at home sleeping. Let's see.
Follow
Andre
the
is.
stench of fish. I'm sure that's why he doesn't go to the bar because he stinks up the place and everybody complains when he comes in the door. Apparently, I have a different story in mind, right?
I guess. What was the name of that tavern? Because I want to include that. Remember the feed and eat, or the eat and feed, or I don't remember
Oh
the name of it.
yeah, what was it? I'm gonna have to.
I have a name. There's a location called the River's Edge Inn. But that's more of a place where people just sleep. I mean, they have food and such and services, but I wanted one more place where the locals actually go.
Okay, we had said feed and eat in, and that's kind of good. Or you had eat and feed in, but I think feed and eat in makes more sense. Then you
Okay.
also had the fuzzy quarterstaff, unless that was something
I
else.
don't know
Oh,
what
never
that
mind.
is.
No,
What the
that
hell is
was
that?
that was when we were talking about the Harples. That's
Okay.
what the name of their bar is. So we won't take their name. I
No.
like feed and eat in.
Okay. So he's at the feed and eat.
Yeah, I was searching for the word in, and that's what came up in the the chat here. Fuzzy quarterstaff.
Lady
Yeah,
Shel,
that's the
this is a
Harples.
PG-13 show.
Hey, I didn't
Let's see,
name it.
feed and eat.
Whoever wrote about the Harples, blame Ed Greenwood.
Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I like it. So there's 5 different options. I think that's good without going overboard. So these are the options. Andre pulls in with his daily catch for a break-in meal. So that's
I think
pretty
that's
likely.
yeah, I think so.
So I put a range of 1 to 3. Andre is spotted from the dam. He is fishing in the deeper parts of the lake. I think it's a little less likely.
4 to 6.
4 to 5. Because the other one's 1 to 3. So that one's 4 to 5. Andre pulls in at the end of the day with his daily. That's likely. So that would be like 6 to 9.
Question on and the one that they find him out by the dam, out in the middle. If they decide to take a boat out, do we want him to take a boat? Is that part of it, or you just want to try to get him to come to shore? Because I was thinking that if they take a boat, that could be a good opportunity for some kind of an encounter. So that might you may want that one to be of a more
Yeah, that's true.
prevalent. I mean,
Yeah, we'll think about that one.
if you
Go ahead, David.
no, that was the idea to whether I was going to say that seeing him out in the middle of the lake may be more prevalent than some of these others because that might be where he spends the majority of his time anyways. And that would force him to come up with some way of either getting his attention or and they do that he might not want to come in. They might have to go to him.
Yeah. Okay, so Andre is leaving early in the morning to go fishing on the lake. So I made that a little bit harder to do, even though it's not. Because who in the hell wants to get up at 5 in the morning to go beat him?
Not me.
Okay, so here are the tables. So 1 to 3, he pulls in for a meal. Actually, I think that should be less. Yeah,
1 to 2.
yeah,
Because that seems kind of being kind of an easy one that where there wouldn't be much of a chance of any kind of encounter other than getting a
yeah,
hold of him.
yeah. So that's just 1 to 2 there. So 3 to 5, and that's going to be 3 to 4. So these first ones are not as common. Then Andre pulls in at the end of the day, which is
That
the likely one. So that's actually 5 to 9. Then Andre is leaving early, that's 10 and 11. And then 12 is he's at the bar. Does that sound more reasonable?
yeah. I mean,
I like it.
the objective is just to have some fun here. I
Yes,
think to give them the idea they need to investigate. It's not really to stop them or anything, right?
correct. It slows them down a little bit, but so I
We
just
do need
rolled an
some red
8.
herrings though, too. But not from him, because he does have
Yeah,
honest advice.
yeah.
or honest dealings with it. So
So that's the investigation table. And
Does
now,
Andre ha does
huh?
Andre have any does Andre have any flaws that we
Well,
can
he's
work with?
grumpy. Know that.
All right, that's good. That's good. I
Yeah.
just meant that it may take a little bit of role playing to actually get the answers out of him. That he's not just gonna, oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Here's his stat block. Not much to him, but he is rather grumpy. We can put that.
if he's stinky, his charisma needs to be lower.
Okay, we'll put him 8. Yeah, he's old, stinky, grumpy, so he's not very cordial. Let's see.
So
Yeah, I
then
don't have anything back here, so
should he have some additional skills?
he kind of
Oh
does.
yeah,
Let's see. He has survival and nature,
yeah.
so there's no need to
But
give him much else.
should he be deceptive?
I don't see why. I mean, he's an honest person. He just doesn't.
Maybe he doesn't like being bothered by
He
people with
doesn't.
questions.
He doesn't. That's the problem.
So how about? I mean, I don't know. This might be too difficult, or just give the DM an idea that whenever that Andre always answers a question phrased as a question or something along those
I
lines.
like
Yeah,
that.
Yes. So he's a smartass on top of being a grump.
right. Because he doesn't like being around people. So if people want to talk to him, they're going to have to put up with the way he answers.
This guy is going to be great. Proficient proficient in being a smartass.
So are the player characters, are these going to be given to them as pre-gens, or are they going to roll their characters up? Because I was thinking if they were going to be rolling their own characters up, and somebody decides to they get a skill that relates to where they can put down a skill with a boat. Could that give them a positive, plus when they
Oh, I
come
see
out
what you're
to go out
saying.
to sea?
Yeah, if they have a tool proficiency like, you know, boats or water or whatever that
Or
is.
when it was a vehicle or
Yeah,
craft.
that's what I meant.
Yep.
So I'll say Andre, he's grumpy and not very nice. He always answers a question with his own. He is a smartass and a grump.
Weren't we going to use pre-gens though? I can't remember.
I didn't want to because I don't want to go through that mess.
Oh, no, but I mean for when you do the play testing, have
Yeah, the play
pre-gens.
testing, yeah, but not for part of the module.
Definitely not. I've been there, done that. Don't want to do that again. You have to make up all your own everything.
Yeah, it's not worth the time, and then half the time people are not going to use them anyway. So okay, so they said, "Well, have you seen this young boy about so high?" And I was just, have you? That's what he'll say to them.
Are you going to put that for part of his, like, on the back thing,
Well, I
like
just put
things
that
that
he's
he would
grumpy.
say?
No, I'm not gonna script it, but I could just see it now. If someone's asking him, have you seen this young boy? Have you seen him? They're like, we're asking you. He says, well, I'm asking you. I've been out on the
Or
water all day.
or, or let's see. So if they say, "Have you seen the young boy?" and he may say, "Well, have you seen him wearing a smock?" But so what I'm thinking here is, he may answer a question with a question, but he also throws in one item of truth.
Oh yeah. Or have you seen him flying in the air? Or
Right. Or
something like that.
have you seen him with that bee?
Yeah. Have you seen him with that large winged insect?
Oh,
Didn't
so maybe this is another table
Oh
letter.
shit.
doesn't Jordy have something on him that he brought to the beehive It seemed like he had some.
He had like a
What?
bright
What?
colored coat or something like that, or a
I thought
hat.
he had some kind of like not a coin, but some kind of a something with him. I can't remember now.
He had a what do you call it? A slingshot.
That didn't help him much, did it? Maybe
No,
he
he
was a
didn't.
bad aim. Does he
No,
have
he
bad deck?
probably. I haven't looked lately. So yeah, so Andre is not very nice. He always answers a question with his own. He is a smartass and a grump. I guess you can give examples of what he might say. But I kind of don't like scripting for the
Yeah,
DMs, the
because you
players.
don't know what they're going to ask, so you can't have answers that don't relate to what they're asking.
Yeah, you can give like example. If they ask where the boy is, you could say something like, "Do you know where the boy is?" I honestly think he's scared, to be honest. I think what he witnessed shocked him, and he doesn't want to let anyone know that he's afraid. That's what I think. That makes sense why he's defensive and why he doesn't want to talk.
Or maybe he doesn't want to say, "Oh yeah, you got took away by a bee," because everybody will think he's crazy.
Correct. So we can put those notes in there. That would give them a better idea of how his personality is. So he's actually a firm, kind of tough guy. But that particular encounter that he witnessed kind of shook him, and he doesn't want to admit that. And most men, if I know, including myself, don't like to be looked at like that. You don't want to be looked at as a crazy wimp. I don't know. Does that sound feasible?
Yep.
So that could be why he's acting that way. So I'm going to say something like Andre is normally a tough and solid person, but the incident truly shook him. Shook
Do
him
we
to his
have
core.
do we have somewhere that tells no, that says what he witnessed or what he would pass along or the piece of
We
that
haven't
kind of
done that
information?
yet, but
Okay.
we can definitely do that because that's important part of the quest. So say he's normally tough and solid, but the incident with Georgie's disappearance truly shook him to his core. So he's actually afraid for one of the few times in his life. I'm not going to write this, but when his wife died, that was the other time. Other than that, he was a soldier and a fighter and, all those things. So he's only been afraid a couple times, and one of them was this bee thing. And I think the other thing was being a father. He did not
Uh,
want to be a father.
uh, Andre's wife doesn't happen to be one of the bees in female form, human to female
I hope
form.
not. I hope not. He's actually a drone. He's working for the queen.
Yeah, that's great.
He knows he has to go see her, but he knows that'll be his last time. Let's see. He is afraid for one of the few times in his life. Should I just leave it at that?
That sounds good. I mean, that gives a general idea. I mean, he's not a prime. He's a character, but he's not one of the major characters, is he? Or
I'll just say he does not want people to know he's, want him to think that he's crazy. And
after the party gets all the information that Andre has, does Andre going to play any other part in the adventure, or
I
is
don't
this just
know. I mean, that's kind of up to the
okay?
group. I don't want to, tell them how to run everything.
Oh yeah. I just
Yeah.
didn't know if there was some other type.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he
Okay.
helps get the kid back home when they because later on in the adventure, Georgie is allowed to leave. The adventures bring him back to the edge of the forest, so maybe he helps bring the kid back to his dog and his family to be reunited.
Does that river below the dam go through the forest where the bees are?
Yes,
So is there a possibility the party may want to hire Andre to guide them down the river in his boat?
there could be potentially. The only thing that's a hassle getting the boat from the lake down to the lower part of the dam.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah,
Yeah, there's a challenge there. It can be done. I wouldn't say no. I would just make it a hassle.
I would give him navigation skills since he does use his boat to, go fishing and stuff. And oh, I'm thinking more of a PC. That's right. An NPC doesn't need to have
he's just going
that kind of thing,
to.
like tools or.
He'll just do it.
So he is defensive. Why do I always repeat myself? Okay, he is afraid for one of the few times in his life. He is defensive, and he doesn't want anyone to think he is weak or crazy.
WEAK.
I guess that's kind of good. It gives you an idea of why he acts the way he is.
Sure.
Now, if I was going to write a book, I would definitely write the part about his wife and how he lost her to illness and it scared the crap out of him. He didn't want to die. And then the other time was that they thought they were going to have a baby and they had a miscarriage, and now he doesn't ever want to be a father again. And there's all kinds of stuff. Pretty deep character, actually. We can leave that out. So we just put the notes for the NPCs on the other tab. So if you guys are creating your own content, when you unlock it, you can go ahead and change some of this. And Lady Shell, I'm going to add navigation on here, just a +1. But that's survival. Never mind.
I was thinking more like, when you're making a PC and your PC has access to one of the type of tools that he would have navigation
Yeah,
tools, but
that's true.
I suppose he could have that on his body in case somebody wants to kill him. Because you know how murder hobos are.
Yeah, I'd be part of his loot. Fishing gear, a compass or whatever, and a what do they call it? Sextant. Let's see. So he knows Common and Elvish, which is strange. I don't know where he learned Elvish, but he knows it. I think he was in a war or something at one time.
Wouldn't it make more sense if he knew Dwarvish since the dwarves come to town?
Yeah, you know what? I think you're right. Good call. So, David, were you in any military?
Not active duty. I went to the Citadel for college.
Okay. Just wondering how that to get a better perspective of how a person like this would behave, but I don't want to delve into that live on the stream. So this is an ex-military person that fishes for a living, lost his wife, and has been kind of a bitter old man ever since.
If there's anyone in the stream that would like to comment about what they think that a ex-military person, how they would act or anything, you can send me your information, Lady Shel, on the FGC Discord, and then you don't have to reveal it in, on live.
Yeah, sometimes those type of topics are a little touchy and personal, so I'm not expecting anyone to say that out loud, but I get this feeling inside my gut that this guy is one of those veterans that really doesn't feel good about things anymore. And he's kind of depressed. And he's always been depressed. And when he's forced to make a decision, he kind of acts out. He doesn't want to be bothered. So one of the things he's done is he's become very defensive. And when he's questioned about this kid, that whole incident scared the crap out of him. And he doesn't want anyone to know that. And he feels kind of like they're going to think he's crazy or weak. So he doesn't want to feel, pressured into something like that. So that is pretty much probably about as far as we're going to get. I mean, we could still talk about this, but it's already been an hour almost or more. So,
Hey, Lorraine. So maybe he needs a catchphrase in something like, since he was a veteran, maybe he might say that he works for a living or he fishes for a living and doesn't have time. Then says that, but every once in a while, I fish, or
oh yeah.
something. So he has like some type of catchphrase along those lines that he throws in. When he asks a question, and then the next question he throws that in there between while he's trying to give an answer.
So this is part of his defensive posture.
Right. I mean, because he thinks if everybody is trying to be above him or below him, and he just wants to fish. He's as you described, he's getting kind of depressed, so he doesn't have time for all this. But at the same time, he wants to help.
Yeah, I like that.
Hey, I fish for a living. I don't have time.
Which is kind of since fishermen take so much time to catch fish anyways. So I don't know. I
It
like it.
sounds funny. It sounds good. So I went ahead and I put a little bit of dialogue in here, and you guys can do this if you're making NPCs. You can put a little bit of canned dialogue in here. This is just something he would say initially. So when you click on this little dialogue box, it puts it in the chat as if Andre is saying it. So that's what I did is I right-clicked on this chat box. I didn't say cat box, I said chat box. And I went ahead and right-click on it, change the paragraph type to a chat frame. But then if you want it to actually have an assigned speaker or whoever's saying it, there is an assigned speaker icon after you create the chat box. So that's how you achieve that. Then when you click on it, it goes to the chat as if he's saying it to the party. So that's kind of like those little canned responses you get when you play a video game. Like I can think of like Baldur's Gate. They have their little catchphrases. So when you get near enough to hear the NPCs, you'll hear old Andre saying, "Hey, I fish for a living. I don't have time." He's kind of a an old grump.
So before we end our stream, I wanted to say that next week at the same time, we will be having Jay on as our special guest. So
Nice.
we hope that you will come back next week and listen and watch and give us some more comments.
So
And we
let's.
thank uh, DM David Keith for joining us this week. You've given us a lot of insight here. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
well,
pretty cool.
thanks for having me on, guys. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, this is fun. I like the input that we get from other people because it takes many minds to create something wonderful, and I don't think it's good to have one perspective when you create a module or a story. Um, there's not too many authors that I know of that can cover everything. So it's nice to have input from the community and from a guest. It also helps us keep focused. If it was me, I'd already be rambling off and on about 10 other things. So I think that we established a new place. What did we call it? The feed neat or the. Yeah, let me put that down here.
Feed and eat in. Not the fuzzy quarterstaff.
The feed neat in. I like it. I like it. And then, of course, we have developed Andre quite a bit. We still need to come up with a statement, but I don't know if we're going to be able to or not. It depends on what we're going to say. I guess he can describe the initial, you know, he turned around, he was fishing one afternoon. He heard a kid screaming. He looked over the bow or the stern of his or starboard. He gives the coordinates of a ship, and he looks over to starboard and he witnessed the kid being lifted up by some kind of big, large winged insect, and that's pretty much what he would say, I guess. Also, some other goodies besides those things. I did get some more artwork to show. So this
Yes,
is
please show it. This is amazing.
so this map was Tom Cardos's map. Chris from Game Tile Warehouse made me the battle map. So what we have here is the ant colony, which we'll be detailing at some other point. And this is going to be the battle map if there is a battle in the ant tunnels. And it's got this nice little border around it. And then I have the beehive or the hive, and this has been updated and has a nice little border to match the other maps. And then the spider log where the Spidera and the spider folk live. So that's the other battle map. So those are the main battle maps or combat encounters. The rest is probably theater of the mind or just like showing photos. Um, Also for tokens, I have more being created, but for right now, we have Lady Shel's dog that she got for us, and I still have two more to make. This rose compass, which is part of the campaign, and then Tom took some of the original uh, assets that I had. These are Bernardo Hasselman made these for me, but he gave me these little borders to put in there. Now these are going to be more decorational for when we do the layout in the PDF. So that's what those are for. But I put them in here for show and tell sake. So those are the tokens that go with the adventure. Um, and the next group of artwork that I'm getting is the spider folk. So right now I have the ants and the bees. I don't have the spiders yet. So I'm going to get a female kind of anthropomorphic one that's going to be kind of like the queen of the ants. Then I'm going to get one that looks just like a spider, which is going to be all the males and all the common spiders that fight. And then there's going to be a human, more of a humanoid form, like this one here, or like this one, Waspina. So Waspina, Antila, and Spidera. Those are the main characters in the book. or in
And I
the
think they need new names because they're too common. They all end in A.
yeah. Well, Tara is the queen of the ants.
Yeah, again, ends in A.
Yep. So I will finish up with Andre's statement on my free time, and I need to work on those 2 tokens.
I sort of like the idea of having them all in the same way, because if you
Yeah.
ever have any of the human female versions of them running around, that might be a clue to somebody that, hey, that person may be part of this, you know,
Oh yeah, like a clue kind of thing.
right? Because so they meet a female in the town. And she gives her name, and her name happens to end in the same a couple of consonants or vowels or whatever, same ending, like ta.
Ah.
And then, and every one of the wasps has those type of names.
Yeah, it's kind of like a foreshadowing in a way.
If you do that, make sure that none of your townspeople have names that end the same way.
The other thing is I'm getting a cover made for the module. It is I've had it for commission for a long time, but he's finally getting to it. It's going to have all 3 of the main characters on the cover, and it is going to have sort of like the Charlie's Angels look to it. Not quite, but it's going to have the bee queen. It's going to have Antila, the ant princess, and Spidera in the middle. And it's going to be it's 3 women. Like the Waspina is older. She's probably in her 40s, looking as far in her human form. And then Spidera looks like she's probably about 30-ish, maybe late 20s. And the Antila, the princess, looks like she's anywhere from 18 to 21. So they're all going to have this different age differences, but they're also going to be on the cover together. So it should be pretty cool.
I want to see that lumberjack
Okay.
and that fisherman next week.
Yeah. Yeah. So the lumberjack is going to be probably the orchard guy instead of a lumberjack.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Well,
we'll work on that guy next week.
remember what he looked like? He was kind of like an old guy with a beard.
Yeah.
I thought the orchard person was female. Maybe that guy with the beard can be the court.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. We have some ideas for that. So is that what we're going to work on next week, or did I say something else earlier? I think, yeah, we'll work on that disappearance. We kind of have this one figured out, um, except for the statement where Andre says what he saw. But other than that, there's really not much else to be done with it. I'm sure we could add a lot more dialogue and backstory, but I don't want to overscript it because then you don't give your players and the DM enough flexibility, but you don't want to leave them with nothing either. So it's good to have a little bit. So, like I
So
said,
we should work on the orchard disappearance,
mm-hmm,
person's disappearance, their little event thing like you had
yep,
for the boy. We'll do one of them for her. And then who's the third person again? I always forget the third person
we have an
that
orchard
was missing.
worker, we have the boy, and then there's
Hmm.
one other person. I forget.
Oh, you forget too?
Oh, it
Oh,
was
well, at
somebody who
least I'm
got
not alone.
somebody who got. It's not a bee abduction; it's an ant attack.
Oh, okay. But they're missing,
Yep.
so
So it
yeah.
happened along this road, the tradeway.
Ah, that's why the caravan people don't want to go that way.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yep. So this could be a farmer that was working along the fields, or
Don't you think that could be a lumberjack? Because I mean, it's by the forest, it's by
yeah,
the edge. They could be.
yeah,
Maybe we could use that beard guy for that character then,
yeah.
and then I could find a new female for you for your orchard work.
Okay. So this her name was Rennie something, the girl that disappeared, Ortman, or.
Rennie something. How nice.
But this field out here is pretty much open game. There's really not much going on out here. So I have a random encounter table for that area. It's really not detailed other than rolling hills and plains, and there's a little bit of forest on the edge of it. It's more or less a place where it's open land, so people could settle there if they can get rid of the ankegs and the gricks and all these other little creatures that live out there. There's wolves and all kinds of stuff out there.
I'm thinking if we can get through the 2 abduction um, things like you have for the boy with the statement and the poster details and comments and etc. For those, then maybe we could work on an encounter for, or not encounter, a table for the what you just said.
Oh yeah, that would be definitely towards the end, a random encounter table. I do have
Yep.
a list of creatures that I'm working on that will be included in this group. Let's see. That's
Are you
location.
getting all commissioned artwork for all your NPCs?
No, just what I said. That's it.
How about our NPCs that are not in really super important?
No, not
They
for
can have
those.
letter
Yeah, they
letter
can have.
token.
Yes, I'm not gonna do. I've already done all my. I've spent
Yeah,
already
we'll never
lots of
make
money.
any money if we buy that much artwork.
Yeah, that's already been handled. I've done that a long time ago. So I want to let everyone know that I did this months ago. I just haven't had time to deal with it.
Gee, I wonder why. Thanks, pandemic.
Yeah, no doubt. So I guess it's a good thing. So the missing orchard hand is an event that we will be doing next time. And then we have another event, missing child only dog. We just did that. And then the giant ant sightings was the other thing that the third person that we keep forgetting about. So that doesn't even have to necessarily be a death. It could be somebody that was in the caravan spotted those ants, and when they came to town, they told everyone about it. Maybe the ant did take away one of their soldiers that was guarding the caravan that was heading to town. So does that make them less evil? We'll find out. So the Waterwall Dam is Kedwick's Dam, and we have the river's edge. So okay, so that's a recap. So what we'll do next week is we will work on the orchard situation, which is up here in the scheme of things.
I'm ready.
Same here.
And thanks again, David, for joining us. And thank you, everyone that joined us in the chat. And we hope you'll come back next week at 12:30 PDT. That would be the 22nd of May.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks for coming.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.